Hi, everyone. I'm Teri.
And I'm Ella.
Welcome to the Chasing Red Flags podcast, Let's Get Real.
Here, no topic is off limits.
And real beats perfect every time.
Welcome to the conversation.
Welcome to where you belong.
You're part of the family now, so let's get real together. Hi, Mama.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, I like that green on you.
Thank you. It's one of those days where I can't explain it. Like, I cannot get warm. I love having anything with my fingers and like covering me.
I feel like you always have that, especially when you go on your walks.
It's my favorite thing in the world, but I'm freezing today. I have no idea why.
I mean, it's very cold. I mean, it's 28 here right now.
Ooh, that is cold.
Freezing.
Hi.
Well, I'm really excited for today. I know we both are so obsessed. We have such an incredible guest joining us, and we are diving into some awesome topics that I feel like we haven't covered before. So I feel like it's going to be a really good conversation.
It's going to be an amazing conversation. We're going to touch on some serious subjects, but we're also going to have a lot of fun.
Yes.
He is not only an unbelievable talent, but also a really great person who uses his platform for good and to entertain and also to make a difference.
Yes. And I mean, we've gotten some DMs, and he has been known as the favorite camp counselor.
Of
and
course.
So we're going to get into that later. But before we officially introduce today's guest, we just want to say thank you all so much for being here. We truly appreciate your support, whether you're tuning in for the first time or you're a day one listener. Please subscribe to the Chasing Red Flags podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to yours. And please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to watch all of the episodes.
So today we're joined by Max Cohen, also known on Instagram and TikTok as Murray Hill Boy. He's incredibly talented, ridiculously funny, and yes, I'm going to say it, handsome. His social media content is a perfect mix of humor and relatability. He's known for his takes on Jewish moms, camp memories, college life, and finance bros.
I will say, Max, what sets you apart is I feel like how you also share really vulnerable and real moments throughout all of these hilarious content. And so we are so thrilled to have you here, and welcome to the Chasing Red Flags podcast. Let's get real.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course.
We're so
excited.
excited.
All right, I gotta ask just off the bat for our listeners who might not be from New York or who aren't Jewish like us, or don't know what Murray Hill is, can you explain what it is and why you're known as Murray Hill Boy?
Yeah, great question. And it's one that I'm asked by my followers all the time.
Okay, good.
Murray Hill is a neighborhood in New York, like any other neighborhood. What makes it unique is that it's a nice area with lots of young people, and the rent is pretty cheap. So over the past couple of decades, really, because people's parents have lived there, it's become this hotspot for recent college grads to live in after they're done with college. And specifically, there's a really significant Jewish population there. So I kind of describe it as like your freshman and sophomore year after college.
Yeah.
It's like the beginning of like your post-grad college experience.
Love that.
And then usually, for junior and senior year, people move off campus to the West Village or Chelsea or where have you. But to me, the way that I saw it when I first moved there was really an extension of college, from the drinking to the pre-games to like the dating scene to the common shared spaces. So when I decided to start making videos, I was still working at a corporate job and I didn't want to use my name. So I thought, let me just use the name. Let me just do the alias Murray Hill Boy, because that's like me and that's everyone.
Which I love, by the way. And it's been the same for years and years and years. I'm 50, and Murray Hill's been the same extension of college. I would say it's like frat life with cheap furniture, and an extension of college, like you said. Is the name going to stick if you move out of Murray Hill? What's your...
I know, that's a good question.
I mean, I love it, and I feel like it's what it is, so I would say keep it, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I've yet to have anything else besides it, so I'm pretty like emotionally tied to it.
Yeah.
I am currently living at home with my parents.
Oh.
I moved out of Murray Hill a couple of months ago. I'll be here for a couple more months. Where I'm moving, I don't know for sure,
Okay.
but God willing, it's the West Village. And all my like close friends, like, what are you going to do? Like West Village woman? And I'm like,
How about West
If-
Village
if-
Wonder?
right, West Village Wingman. What was up in the
Wingman,
running?
That's so funny.
I mean, I think for the purposes of brand continuity, I can't just keep changing my name
No.
based on where I live because
Fair.
people get confused.
Okay, so for any listeners that haven't found you on social media yet, which I don't know who hasn't, but which means that they're also totally missing out, how would you kind of like describe your content altogether?
What a loaded question. I mean, you guys really hit the nail on the head with your introduction, but it's a love letter to the Jewish upbringing, whether that means parents who yell at you or
It's
grandparents who sneak
me.
you money, exactly, or sleepaway camp or your favorite counselors. So that's part of it. The other part is kind of live, real takes on postgraduate life
Hmm.
and that really awkward transition of kind of being forced into being an adult against your will
Yeah.
and how different types of young adults, grapple with that. And then the last part of it, like you said, is a look sort of into my life, which I like to think is relatable to everyone in some way,
It is.
whether you are super similar to me as a person or just had a similar upbringing or don't know me at all. I think there's a lot of, universal challenges that we all face, even if they're not manifested in the ways that mine have been.
Right. Well, as a
Love it.
public figure, I'm sure that people assume they know everything about you because, your life is on social media in some ways. So we would like to dig a little deeper and start at the beginning. Tell
Let's do it.
tell us what it was like growing up. You're from the five towns, which I know, but I think our listeners might not. And I don't know if Ella even knows what the five towns are. So,
Okay. Five Towns is on the south shore of Long Island,
okay.
Long Island being the suburb area adjacent to New York City. Lots of like upper middle class people who work in the city and want to be close but don't actually want to live in the city.
Yep.
Where I'm from is a very, very Jewish area. These days, it's honestly a lot more Jewish than it was when people
Oh,
first started moving in. But yeah, I mean, that was, that's where I'm from. Growing up, I was a super quiet kid. I had very, very few friends. I was like the art kid. That was like really good at art. That was my whole thing. I had one friend. Her name was Chelsea. Um, there was one group of Jewish kids in my school. All of their parents were friends.
yep.
My parents
Hmm.
weren't friends with their parents, so I just never was in that clique.
Yep.
Yep.
As I grew up, I kind of gained some traction socially through the school musicals. In fourth and fifth grade, everybody had to do them. And I was like, to my own surprise, like good at that. And that kind of just blossomed into me just getting to meet more people. And by like ninth grade, the beginning of high school, I had fully kind of cracked that Jewish friend group.
Yep.
And those are like my best friends in the whole world to this day.
So funny.
But a lot of my commentary on Long Island doesn't actually come from my own family, but comes from me as an outsider looking in on my friends' families, which they'll murder me for saying that it's based on their
Of
families.
course.
It's not. But as someone who wasn't kind of born with that, it all felt so like dazzling and new to me in a
Yeah.
way that I'm able to now critique it. I think if I was someone who was born with that right away, that I wouldn't kind of recognize all the funny things that are part of
Of
it.
course.
But people always ask like, is your mom based on your mom? Is your dad like? No, it's so not my family,
Okay.
Okay.
but it's so like every other
Other
family
family.
that I've ever met.
Can you share a bit about your family dynamic? Like, do you have siblings? Give us a
Oh,
little scoop. You
yeah.
said your
I mean,
mom
this
has,
is
like, give us a little scoop on
yeah.
the family.
This is like a live therapy session.
I mean, that's what we do,
That's
right?
what we do.
Right. Background on my family. So the personalities are based on my family.
Okay.
Okay.
Like my mom says "fuck you" to my dad all the time.
Right.
Like the
Oh,
fact.
yep.
Oh,
like,
that's me.
Yeah, exactly. Like the facts of it all are not, but like the energy is my family.
Okay.
Okay.
Mom and dad still together. God bless.
Yep.
Mom is from Hewlett, which is five
I know
towns.
Hewlett.
Always been here her whole life.
Okay.
Classic family. By the book. Friends with the Madoffs. That's like not true,
Yeah.
but like that's
I get
not.
it.
That's so funny.
Dad grew up in Brooklyn, then moved to Merrick, which is like another town on the South Shore.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's them. Dad works in finance. Mom's a psychologist.
Ooh.
So this whole
Love.
diving deep into your feelings is not new to me. It's actually been
Okay.
shoved down my throat from a
For your
very
whole
young
life.
age.
I love it.
My whole life. I'm the oldest of three brothers.
Oh, three boys.
Tulane, middle's Harvard, youngest is currently at Lehigh. We're all very close in age. I'm gay, Harvard's gay, Lehigh's not.
Wow.
So that's been quite the experience in our small
Wow.
Jewish blue collar town to have a 2 out of 3 situation there.
Yeah.
Which I mean that could be its own.
That can be its own podcast episode.
Correct. But yeah, that's my family.
When did
Love
your
it.
brother come out?
I'm sorry, I need to like do math
Yeah.
to figure that out.
Yes.
I came out my junior year of high school, and he came out his junior year of high school because it was we're 1 year apart and it was 1 year later. So yeah.
Got it.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That's
Wait, is he
amazing.
funny like you? Are you guys like really similar?
Well, we call him the smart one because
Okay.
like that's like his shtick,
Right.
Yep.
obviously.
I know
He's
Harvard.
incredible.
Woo.
He's incredibly well spoken. He could get up and talk to you guys the same way I can. Is he as funny as me? Like, I would
No.
argue no. He might have his own
No
opinions,
one's as
but
funny as you.
right. I was the funny one. I was the funny one. He was the smart one. We always
Okay.
say we're like the with the kids from Modern Family.
Oh my God,
I
that's
was like
so
the I
funny.
was like Haley. He
Yeah.
was Alex, and our youngest brother was Luke.
Oh, I
Wait,
love
I
that.
love that. That's so funny. I was about to say, like, I swear I see so much of my mom in all of your videos. And you had, like, talked about it before. I know that it's kind of, like, the energy is from your family and then more experience from, like, your friends' families. But, like, with the cookie cakes and, like, camp visiting days and, like, setting up my college dorm room, by the way, which was absolutely insane. There is a video on my TikTok of from, like, freshman year. And we were putting up wallpaper
She's
and
making
people
fun of me.
thought that I was nuts.
Okay.
Like
Oh,
absolutely
the
insane.
white brick wallpaper.
Oh, no.
See,
Oh, no.
so I wanted to be different and it was like black and white, like polka dots, but like it ended up being like too trippy to even look at. People just thought I was insane.
Okay, let
like
me
even
just-
for having any sort of wallpaper on.
Let me defend myself for a minute. I didn't do the bricks because then you have to line up the bricks. And that takes forever
Right.
to line
Yes.
up. And I was smart enough to realize
You were
that
thinking
bricks
about it
wouldn't
like
work.
that.
Polka dots, if they're off, it's totally fine. But I got very caught up. I would
She
never
covered the entire room.
every inch of the room.
I can't even like. I don't even know how I'd be able to do I try to
You don't
keep it
wanna
gender
know.
neutral, but like a true girl mom is such a burden, for lack of a better
It
word.
is.
Like
It
it's a
is.
different world. It's a different world.
If you
Well,
need
and
to
I
know
was the
anything-
first child. Like I'm the oldest. My brother's younger than me, so it's. I mean, not that he doesn't get as much attention, but I definitely am like.
He doesn't need as much attention.
I know it's very different compared to boy.
We
and girl.
moved him into Wake Forest and I took 3 hangers and put 3 jerseys up on the wall. He was done.
and he was fine.
He
Exactly.
did not want
Exactly.
anything. He was like, I need a phone charger. He didn't even want the jersey. He wanted a blank wall. I was like, I can't look at the blank wall. It was about
Yes.
me, not even him.
You would have loved being my mom. My roommate was like this. Like
Yeah.
I literally was like, where is it? I mean, I have a video up on my freshman dorm room somewhere, but it was
So does
a whole
Ella
to do.
on her
Oh, yeah.
personal page. I mean,
I
it's
know.
literally insane. And I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? That's so
my-
embarrassing.
Even me, I was like, we didn't need all of that.
I wanted
But
her
I
to
felt
feel
at
at
home.
home.
Yeah.
Everyone does the exact same thing and everyone has the exact same hindsight and it's
Yeah.
like maybe we went a little overboard.
Yeah. Okay, so the skits about the Jewish moms, the Jewish grandmas, sorry. The skits about the Jewish grandmas crack me up.
Oh yeah.
So is your Jewish grandma like your own, or is she also a mix of everyone's grandmas?
So for the grandma character specifically, it is to a T my mom's mom,
Yeah.
Oh,
who
okay.
is she's classic. They did 6 months in Woodmere, 6 months in Boca Raton, so
Yep.
similar, same but different. Used to golf, all that kind of stuff, and she was just. I mean, she's not watching this. I've decided, but she was. She is. I mean, she's alive. She can be a horror
Yes.
to waiters. Like we all just like have our heads down, like trying not to
Oh,
look because
humiliating.
You
You
told
just-
me Nana used to do that.
My Nana was, and she would, she paid for everything and she was so wonderful, but she'd also she'd snap when she wanted someone to
Yeah.
come to the table.
it's
We were like,
it's a
you can't-
generational thing. I don't
You
even
can't
know.
do that. You cannot, no matter how many times
Yeah.
we told her, it's a generational thing.
But you know what's funny? It's funny that you said your grandma was a matriarch because I feel like mine was as well. But they almost get away with it because they run the show outside of the restaurant.
Oh.
So they're expecting once they walk in, like, why would anything be different? And it's like, no,
Exactly.
we're your family who are catering to you.
Yes.
Yep.
You are now in public,
Yep.
and everyone who's not us is a stranger
Yes.
who you don't know
And you
who
cannot,
doesn't know you.
and you cannot act like this in public. You can do whatever you want with
Right.
us.
Okay. Can we throw a few terms your way for people who aren't Jewish that might not fully get some of the content and explain to them and share your take for anyone who might not understand? I feel like that'll be good.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll go first, Mom. Jewish geography.
Also known as geography.
Yep.
It is the game, the art, the skill, the icebreaker that is it's what we did at the beginning of this call, but we stopped ourselves.
Yep.
It is meeting someone else who's Jewish and almost subconsciously, if not immediately, going through every single person you may or may not have in common, which is only something we're able to do because there's so freaking few of us on this planet.
Yep.
Yes.
That if you know one of us, we have someone in common. And, I've never once not been able to do it.
Yeah.
Even if it's someone who like I have nothing in common
Totally.
with, like
That's
play
like
the
what you
game
do.
and 2 minutes in, it's like, all right, I figured it out. My cam friend's girlfriend's younger brother was in your pledge class at your
Yep.
frat. Like done. And
Perfect.
from that, you're able to kind of like know everything about the person because you can place them in your mind of like who they, it's a whole.
I love it.
Perfect explanation.
That was a good explanation.
Okay, ready? Briss.
Oh God.
We want to stump you.
The religious ceremony of getting circumcised, which lots of other, ethno religions and people do.
Yes, they do.
We just make a whole scene out of it.
Oh,
8 days,
absolutely.
8 days after you're born. I don't
Yeah,
know.
8 days after you're born and a big party.
And a big party.
Always a party.
Right. I mean, I don't remember mine,
Yeah.
but I'm sure that
I'm
that's all
so
true.
glad you don't remember it.
Okay, teen tours.
Okay. Sleepaway Camp's cooler but younger sister. It is something that Jewish children do over the summer when they want to like travel, usually like in America, but it can be outside of the country. And it's a way of like bonding with kids your age and making fun memories. I never did them. I'm a sleepaway kid, ride or die.
Okay, ready? Shiva.
I love shivas. That's not a good example. That's not a good example of what it is.
I love
A shiva
shivas.
a shiva is when you go to the home of the loved ones of someone who just passed away following the funeral for a week, and you talk and you commiserate and you celebrate the person's life and you bring lots of food. It's really just a way for the whole community of that person to kind of bond over their life. I love them because you get to see everybody, you get to catch up, and if you're not immediately related to the person who's dying, you're just kind of like off in the living room with your friends, like having good food, drinking wine.
Such good food.
I know, there's always
Um,
good food.
But when the Shiva's like your Shiva, like then it's obviously sad. Like, I don't
Yes.
love those Shivas.
Yes.
I love like going to Shivas where I'm loosely tied to the deceased.
Right.
That's fair, that's fair.
That's fair.
Okay, I think this one's like pretty understandable, but just a description too, just what overnight camp is.
Yeah. So overnight camp, sleepaway camp, whatever you want to call it. I went to mine for 12 years, 11 years.
Wow.
It is usually somewhere between like 5 to 7 weeks during the summer where Jewish parents send their kids away. You see them once in the middle for visiting day. And the kids do, you do sports, you do arts and crafts, the camps can range greatly, so I don't want to like state that's not true for all of them, but a lot of them are like very bougie, very premier
Yeah.
I had pink bunks with air
experiences.
conditioning.
I didn't have air conditioning.
Pink
We have like a
bunks and
lot
air
of good
conditioning.
stuff, but
Mhm.
not that.
I was an all girls and we had a brother camp like across the lake.
Right.
So
Classic.
And I married an Episcopalian. So we,
Whoa.
yes. So
Mhm.
while we raised our kids Jewish, which we did, and both had a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah, I had to introduce him to many things he'd never heard of, and one of them being overnight camp. So when the kids were 7 and we started talking about overnight camp, he literally looked at me and he said, "Do Jewish people hate their kids?"
Yes. Literally, yes.
Literally.
Jewish people hate their kids and love vacations.
Hate their kids
Literally.
and love vacations. He was like, I just don't get it. He went to church camp for 4 days or 4 nights, which was a very big deal for him to be away for that long. And then we took him
Yeah.
to visiting day that first summer, and he was like, "Can I stay? I get it now."
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
You have
it's
to
culture shock.
experience it.
Yeah. Funny you say that. My ex-boyfriend in college is Episcopalian from the main line of Philadelphia.
Oh,
So also lots of cross-cultural, like, yeah, like no.
you got to
Honestly,
teach
he
a
was
lot.
he was the shock to me because he was like a whole private school universe, like bougie trips
Oh,
with his
yes.
school out of the country
Yep.
and like Jesus everywhere, and his parents went by Mr. and Mrs. And I was like, I gotta get out of here.
Yep.
For a slew of reasons, this is not gonna work out.
Yes,
Let
well-
me tell you that right now.
Well,
That's
Ian's
so funny.
been, my husband is incredible, and we've completely merged families. But it was
I love
definitely
that.
different. He grew up in Dallas. He went to church every Sunday, so there was a lot of like, and we got married at Copley Plaza in a 300-person wedding. Totally
I think
different.
He knows more of the Jewish prayers than you do now.
Oh,
I'm not
he
gonna
definitely
lie.
does.
He is like on top of it.
Definitely does. He was like, "It's
So
a Jewish
funny.
holiday. What are we doing for dinner?" Yeah.
Yep. Love it.
Okay, so back to your posts. Personally, I love every single post. every single one. I forward them to everyone, especially my non-Jewish friends, because it helps them relate. But I know that comedy can be trickier these days. I hear it all the time. Like, what's the line for you, if there is one, about making people laugh or making sure they don't feel targeted or mocked?
Super complicated question. My
Sorry.
first post at no, it's my first post ever was January 15th of this year.
Okay.
So I'm pretty new to this whole game. That date is important because it was what, 3 months after October 7th.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I entered the internet at a very interesting time
Mm-hmm.
to be Jewish. And I remember when I first started posting, I guess October 7th was kind of recent enough where people were still, pretty sympathetic towards Israel.
Right.
And as I grew as a creator, so did anti-Semitism around the world, and it's more relevant to me around college campuses.
Oh my
And I
God.
was like, whoa, like this is so. I definitely, as time went on, got increasingly careful with how I was representing Jewish people.
Yeah.
Um, my goal is always to laugh with, not laugh at.
Right.
I also make my videos for Jewish people. Like I'm not making them. I mean, I have so many followers who aren't Jewish, and one of my favorite things ever is when people who aren't Jewish DM or comment like, "This is just like my black mom. This is just like my Chinese mom. This is totally my British boyfriend." Whatever it is, I'm always happy.
Right.
Like I love that, and humanizing Jews for other people is one of the great benefits of what I get to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, my content is for Jewish people in the sense that I want to create Jewish joy. I want to create Jewish media. We're definitely in need of both of those things at this
We are.
time. And I mean, outside of Adam Sandler, like we don't really have like the representation that we deserve.
Yes, I
So
agree.
I just saw this kind of massive gap where I was like, no one's doing this.
Yeah.
We're such a small group of people. We all have the exact same upbringing. One person could easily speak to all of us, not perfectly, not
Right.
perfectly. And certain of my videos have received a little bit of backlash here and there.
Yeah.
But I was like, I would love to see this on my For You page.
Right.
And I can't be the only one who feels that way, so let's do
Well,
it.
I think the perfect line you just said is Jewish joy, because that's what
I
it
love
brings
that.
me. It brings me
Yeah.
joy. Every time I watch something, I laugh out loud. And that's kind of what we
Mm-hmm.
need.
100%. And I will say,
Thank
like,
you.
as you said, like, I just feel like I know it's for specifically like Jewish joy and all of that, but I love that it resonates with so many different people, like, no matter the
Oh,
background.
my husband
Always,
and his
always.
entire Episcopalian family.
They think it's
I
so
send
funny.
them the videos. They think they're also like, it's very relatable on lots of different, in lots of different ways, but also important that if you know someone Jewish or you're friends with someone Jewish, it helps them kind of relate to some of the things you've spoken about or gone through.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
I will say, like, obviously, my mom and I are from two different generations, and we see that kind of reflected in our audience with Chasing Red Flags, too. So, how do you make sure to keep your content, like, relatable for, like, the younger audience of, like, us and moms?
It is my big. Every day I wake up and I'm like, is today for the moms? Is today for the kids?
totally.
I mean, and I say moms. I just there's lots of dads that follow me too,
Yeah.
or grandparents. I just call them the moms, and I call the kids who aren't actually kids because some of them are 30.
Totally.
It's a trick question because the kids like the mom videos because it reminds them of their moms, and the moms like the kid videos because it gives them a clue of what's going on in their kids'
head.
minds.
Absolutely.
Love
Like
that.
I usually find that the moms can't actually relate to the kid stuff, but they're just like dying to know what their
What they're
kids aren't
thinking.
telling them. And then obviously from the kid's point of view, it's like, oh yeah, this mom is just as clinically insane as my mom is. They should all be put in an asylum.
Totally.
Yep.
So if the video's kid themed, I find a way to throw in at least one or two lines I know mom will appreciate, and
Yeah.
vice versa.
Love it.
But I mean, it's most simply a numbers game. I'm like, all right, I did 3 videos that would resonate with 20-year-olds. Let's do one about something, I don't know, menopause.
I
mean,
love
I've not
both.
done-
I think.
I've not done that.
Oh, I can't
But-
wait. Are there more menopause videos coming? Because, that's something we should talk about.
I've thrown a hot flash here and there.
You have.
here and there.
You have. Well, you incorporate a lot of your lived experiences into your content. So you've talked about this on TikTok, but can you share for us and our listeners how you came out to your parents?
So I don't think I actually have told how I came out to my parents.
Oh.
I think so I've definitely done how I came out to my high school, and I just posted how I came out to my camp. But how I came out to my parents is quite an
Well,
interesting
we
story that
would
I've
like
not
to
yet
know
shared.
how you came out to your parents.
Oh, we get exclusive content.
Literally, never before heard. I mean,
Perfect.
unless you know me. I'm someone who it was never going to be me to like lie or hide or keep secret anything. So as soon as I kissed my first boy, let's start telling people. Like, I mean, everyone else is talking about who they're kissing. Why would I not?
I love that.
So the very first boy I kissed was the only other gay kid in my high school. So as to gay men do. We started dating. So what else are we gonna do? We were dating in secret. He was a little bit more religious than me and had like more of a complicated relationship to his sexuality at that time. Granted, we're 16. Like this is not,
Right.
you know. So for his benefit, I was kind of keeping it more under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
We were slowly telling like our closest friends and stuff like that separately. And then at some point, he kind of beat me and was like, "I'm ready to like tell the school we're dating." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!" Again, this is blue collar. Like this
Of
is, I was
course.
like,
Yeah.
by all stretches of the imagination, we are the first gay couple of any kind. I'm like, and we were both kind of like at that point pretty popular, so we weren't like the weird couple hooking up in the hallway. This was like
Yeah.
two pretty relevant people who nobody would suspect to be dating because nobody. I mean, people suspected that we were separately gay, but we weren't even out yet. Now we're gonna come out and say we're dating. So I'm like, whoa.
Right.
He's like, I'm telling everyone February 3rd. I'm like, okay, that's so specific.
I
He's
was
like,
gonna
that's when I
say
want to.
that's a specific date.
No. So specific. There was like some reason that I can't remember now, like why that date made sense for him. February 2nd is my dad's 50th birthday. So I'm like,
Oh
I
my
gotta come
God.
out to I have to come out to my parents before you come out to the school because
Yep.
I'm not like having my parents find out through the school, through like whatever, through the
Yeah.
geography of it all.
Yes.
So on the night of my dad's 50th birthday, we're like getting back to our house and we're all just like hanging out, like, we're, like in my parents' room, like discussing how the food was. And I was like, I have to say something. Everyone's like, what? I'm like, I'm gay. It had to have been a little bit longer than that, but it was a short sentence.
Oh.
And my mom's crying. My dad's like crying. My mom's like, we knew. My dad's like, we knew. I was like, yeah, of course you knew. Like, what? My brothers were both crying. Inevitably, Sam would come out a year later.
Yeah.
So it was just a very tense situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following day, I come out to my chorus class in song. My boyfriend at the time comes out in a tweet. We tell everyone that we're separately gay. We tell everyone that we're dating. My parents now knew.
Oh
I came
my
out to my
God.
camp friends that same night that I came out to my parents. So like in that like 12-hour period from the night of February 2nd, it's like the midday of February 3rd, like my entire life went like and my entire life's never been the same since.
Oh my
So
God.
tears, happy, sad, confused. When you say
Be,
tears,
be, because my parents had a feeling that I was,
Okay.
Yeah.
it just wasn't a shock to
Right.
them.
Yeah.
My mom's also a psychologist. Like, she was probably better suited to have gay children than maybe some other parents are.
Right.
100%.
But I mean, the musical theater, like only having one friend who was a girl growing up, like there was
signs.
just my outgoing way of being.
Right.
Um, I think if anything, they were almost relieved because another generational thing. It depending on the person, coming out could be a really miserable experience,
Yeah.
or one that happens really late in life. So I think it was like maybe a moment of pride that I was just so sure of myself at 16 and just
Right.
kind of willing to take that leap
That's
and
how
put
I
myself
feel.
out
And,
there.
I think it's
Yeah.
incredible. And she was probably already planning your wedding to a nice Jewish doctor, like within a day.
Right. But I mean, listen, it was it put my family under a microscope in my town.
Yes.
And that lens would be further magnified when my brother came out because that's news. Like that's the town gossip.
Yes.
Like, did you hear? Like Max Cohen's gay,
Yes.
and he just started his junior year of high school.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, that's that story.
Okay, I gotta ask about, I know the incredible story about how you told kids in high school with the video footage to back it up. Can you please share that moment?
Yes. First of all, I'm very big on receipts. You will never find me sharing anything on TikTok if I can't prove it.
Yep,
If-
100%.
if-
Oh,
I
we
love
feel
that.
the
So-
same way, actually.
So I'm like, you want a story? Like I'll
I
give
got
you a story.
Right. I love the video.
Um,
I mean, that video of you is perfect.
It is something out of a Glee episode, but I was very close with my chorus teacher, as I suppose many gay high school students are. And we do a thing where I was in like the advanced chorus class, so it was like the 40 best singers in the school, like all
Mhm.
4 grades. And every Friday, different kids would give a performance. Like they would just sing a song that like showcase their voice. And he was like, "You should, your performance is coming up. Like, what do you want to do?" And we had just, as an advanced chorus class, went to see Falsettos on Broadway, which is a show about that covers a lot of really deep and intense gay issues. And I ended up kind of coming out to my chorus teacher after we saw it. Like, I'm so happy you took us to see that. Like, I'm actually gay. And that was like so meaningful. Like you showed us that. And she was like, I think for your performance, like you should. His plan was not for me to come out as gay, but he was like, you should like do a song that like somehow has some relevance to the gay experience. And I was
Got
like,
it.
well, I have to tell them that I'm gay before I sing. Like, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, get up. So it kind of snowballed, and he was all for it. He was a great chorus teacher, and and it kind of snowballed to this whole like standing up and telling everyone I'm gay, and then I didn't include the song because my singing chops were
Right.
not what I'd want them to be. I was so nervous that I
Of
literally was.
course.
So yeah.
I vocally I'm trembling throughout the whole song because I'm just like. But the song itself was from a musical about a closeted gay couple in high school, and it's one of, like, the kids in that couple singing it. So it was a very, like, meta experience. Like, I'm gay in high school, and so I didn't share the song, but I did then proceed to sing a very gay song
Right.
that really touched on a lot of the things I was dealing with at the time. But that is how it came out to my high school,
I
Okay.
I
love
guess,
it.
because
So when I think about all of the stuff that you've just told us, you seem so confident when you share all of these things on social media. I mean, when
Even
I
now,
see
like,
you,
this is-
even now,
yeah.
but when I see you, I think confidence. But I imagine it hasn't always been that easy, or has it?
no, it hasn't, and I'd be lying if I said that
Okay.
that was true.
Not to
Um,
psychologize you, but
Yeah, I will say that a lot of the confidence I show when I'm sharing my personal life, especially the gay stuff, is not so much for myself, but for the younger gay kids who are watching me.
Yep.
Because if I had had someone on my phone who was giving me confident messages and affirmations of all the things I was feeling, that would have
Yeah.
been. So I'm confident for them. I'm confident for young me. I think, like me myself, I could very nonchalantly be like, all right, I came out, here it is. But I kind of tell the stories the way I do because I want to honor the experience for what it is, and it is a difficult one. And if you're not confident, it's the internet. The world's going to swallow you up. So
Absolutely.
if you want to be vulnerable, you better do it with some grit, or people are just going to walk all over you.
Yeah.
We
Um,
say that
I
to Ella
think
all the time,
I know.
She's being incredibly vulnerable, and you're incredibly vulnerable, and you have to have some strength and grit behind you.
you want to be a young person on the internet. We can be
It's
mean,
a
so
tough,
you got us.
yeah.
So yeah, I
Mm.
mean, kudos to you both, and anyone who does it. Um, Coming out is what made me confident. It was once I was instantly put on that pedestal, I was like, everyone's watching, give them a show.
Yeah.
Which
Love
maybe
it.
is just the theater person in me speaking,
But I
but
love that.
they're going to talk about you anyway. They're going to look
Yep.
at you like it. I almost had no choice but to be this confident
Yeah.
because I was, there, homophobia, anti-Semitism, whatever it is that's been plaguing me my whole life in different forms.
Yep.
Like, you really have no choice in those situations but to be your most confident self.
Yeah.
So I think looking back, I honestly was very confident. I don't know what imposter syndrome, gaslighting I was doing to myself to get to
It
that point,
worked.
It
but
works. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I heard you say somewhere that you feel like there's two ages when you're gay, when you're born and when you come out. I love that explanation.
I
So,
do
can you
too.
explain what you meant by that? Because I think that's an
Yeah.
incredible.
So thank you. I agree. It's it's something that wasn't really highlighted for me until I was in my later college years and even my first years in the city, where I was going on dates or hookups or whatever, just meeting other gay men, which really didn't happen for me till college. And there was such a mental disconnect between us. Of course, we had lots in common, but some of them were in the closet. Some of them were like had a
Right.
girlfriend. Some of them, their parents didn't accept them. And depending on when you come out, each year thereafter is so pivotal
Yeah.
in you becoming yourself and stepping into your manhood and your sexuality. And so, someone who's coming out at 24 and someone who's coming out at 16, which was, so like,
Totally different.
so I'm like in bed with a guy and I'm like, you're older than me, but I'm older than you.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
I don't know how to
100%.
describe this to you, but like the things you're dealing with now were things that I kind of conquered when I
I
was
did that.
16.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I try to have patience and kindness and grace, all that kind of stuff. But perhaps this is my type, but sometimes like I find myself leaning towards guys who are in the closet, and like it never worked. Like
Never.
day one, I'm like, wait. I literally, I've done so much work as a person to
Yeah.
evade this that for me to voluntarily step back into the headspace that you're in, I
It's
can't even
not
put
healthy.
myself through that.
Yeah.
Like I've just worked too hard to get to where I am to now go back into the shell and put myself back at square one. And my heart breaks for it's it's not easy. Like my heart is breaking for these young men, but just to protect my own peace, I need to be with
100%.
someone who they didn't have to come out when they were 16. But at the time that we're meeting, they really have to be comfortable with their sexuality
Right.
because
100%.
we need to deal with the real issues of a relationship, like normal relationship stuff. I can't deal with that and this
And
other
that.
side piece.
Right.
Like it's just too much.
Right.
But I think it's
So
so
that's what I-
good that
so that's
you
what I
know
meant.
that about yourself too.
So
Like I
important.
feel like that's is so important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta ask
Here
because
we
we were
go.
talking about it just now for college stuff. So after high school, you went to Tulane. Yes.
Roll
and
wave.
what? Oh gosh, yes. And what was your experience like there?
I mean, there's so many angles to assess my experience there. As a
Yes.
gay, as a Jew, as a boy, as a person, as a frat, as a G. Um, I I was dead set on going to Cornell. I was rejected. I was dead set on Michigan. I was rejected. I mean, waitlisted, whatever. I don't know. I went to Tulane, not like being dead set on Tulane.
Yeah.
When I got there, I fell wholeheartedly in love with the school. It's a campus school. You have the city of New Orleans. It's so weirdly very New York, but it's only the New York kids who are willing to hop on a flight and go to New Orleans for
Yep.
college. So it's a really, really cool mix of students there. And there's it's 33% Jewish, which I didn't even know, and I'm so grateful I had.
It's crazy.
So from a Jewish perspective, I loved being there. Like
Yeah.
our Jewish frats and sororities were our cool sororities. I think in a school like Maryland, maybe within your I don't know what you were in.
Yes. I'm in Kappa Delta.
Right.
Yes.
So
it's
so,
half
like-
and
Half
half,
and half.
but then
Right,
there's
right.
yes. So I made
You
the
did- you-
decision to do that instead of being like a fully Jewish one.
and for a school like Maryland, I think that's the right decision
Yeah.
because you have so much Greek life, because your student body is so big.
Yep.
The Jews really aren't the coolest kids. They're just kind of like their own. You can be the coolest Jew within the Jewish circle, but
100%.
at Tulane, there's 6 frats
You
and
were
6
like-
sororities.
yeah.
So like
Oh,
it
is
was
that
so
it?
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
there's like
honestly
16,
yeah.
so it's very different.
No, it's small. So I took it for granted, I think, that like Jews kind of ran the scene. But again, we were 33% Jewish. So of course,
Like, of course,
one
that
every
makes
3.
sense.
Right.
And then other school, my friends at Michigan or wherever, they'd be like, yeah, like we have like 1,000 frats and all the biggest ones, like none of them are Jewish. So I'm
Yep.
like, that's crazy. So from that perspective, it was amazing.
I visited Tulane when I was looking at colleges. I'm aging myself like 30 years ago, and I almost didn't make it back alive. I was like, nope, I cannot go here. I cannot go here. It was just I ended up at
I love the
ended up at
crazy.
GW. I know you love the crazy. It's just I knew myself well enough that
Right.
it wouldn't work.
I was just actually, I just did I was a guest speaker at GW's like annual massive Shabbat event.
Oh.
Great
Love it.
kids,
That's
great
we
school.
should talk about that. Yes, being in the city was exactly what I needed. It was like the perfect
Yeah.
school for me.
And that, for me, that was the opposite. I
Yep,
wanted
a
like
campus.
a movie style campus,
Yep.
big frat, like that whole kind of thing. I think another thing is Tulane's warm. Like we had
Yes,
darties and bikinis and bathing suits. Like
Yeah.
I live
love
for that
that.
shit. Like
Right.
I
I
love
never
that.
need to be cool.
Right.
So fair.
But being gay in college is a unique experience. There were so many bumps in the road it presented to me. The first of which was finding a roommate. I went through like 4 different guys that I all met through geography. The stars were aligned. We had mutual friends, mutual interests. I was cool in high school. They were cool in high school. And then sometime before we cinched the deal, I'd say, by the way, I'm gay. And every time they would instantly respond like, I'm actually talking to another kid and we're going to room together now. And I'm like, no, you weren't because we were about to room together. But fine. So that happened to me 4 times in a row.
See, that's
I ended up
really hard.
Oh my God, I was crying. I mean, you're already so nervous going into college,
Yeah.
and now you can't find a living soul who wants to share a space with you.
Right.
But I ended up rooming with my camp friend, which was so smart.
Love.
We were like, we weren't super close, but we like had been in the same bunk for 2 years. I moved into his bunk when I got cool, and he was in the cool bunk.
Yep.
So he kind of got me at my best, and we were not close at all. But like we knew what living with the other person was like. And I think for your freshman year, where there's so many ups and downs and uncertainties,
Yes.
it's such a good thing to live with someone who you know you live well with.
Right.
Obviously, not everyone can like live with their camp friend, but looking back, I'm actually really happy that I lived with someone who I knew I liked
Yeah.
versus someone who was a stranger. And all 4 kids who said they wouldn't be my roommate, I ended up like being friendly with them anyway. Like I have nothing bad to say about them. And roles reversed. As a straight guy who's nervous about this, would I want to walk into college with a gay roommate? Maybe not. Granted, if you're going to do it, I'm the way to go. But
You're
anyway.
definitely the way. So
So, there was that. There was the whole like meeting new people. And now, in my high school, everyone knew I was gay. How was I going to go about telling people I was gay? Was I going to tell people I'm gay? And
It was like all
I'm
over
also
again.
I'm a little bit of not a great example for this because to this day, I still will do things with women when I want to, especially when I have alcohol in me. So like my friends are like drunk Max is straight, sober Max is gay.
Oh,
and
we're
I'm like,
gonna get into that in a minute.
I can't. I was. I mean, I only have a video on this, but I ended up getting a giant poster on my bedroom, in my freshman dorm, 6 feet long, that said he's gay, but he loves attention no matter who it's from, because there was so much rumors about Tulane.
Oh, I love
Who is
that
this
sign.
kid who's like getting with the prettiest girl at the party, and then you see him leaving with like a guy. And I
Oh
was
my
like, that
god,
kid is
that's
me.
so funny.
I've always been a contradiction, and I love beautiful people. I love good energy. I'll make anything work. I really will just do whatever makes me happy in the moment, and I don't like to label things.
I
Deep down,
like
of course, I
that.
am gay, but like, I find girls beautiful, and well, a lot of it's kind of despite my friends, because my friends will want to get with this girl at a party. They'll be looking at her for 20 minutes. I'm like, walk up to her.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally walk up to her. And they're like, that'll never work. So I'm like,
I'm going
Walk
to
yeah, I
show
mean,
me.
you.
right.
I'm going to show you
I'm like,
how it works.
right. Which is, by the way, not how like women should be viewed at
Not
all.
at
And a
all.
lot of times, and a lot of times there is a
We'd
very
like you
genuine
to work
attraction
at
there.
it. Work at it. Take us
Right.
out to dinner,
No,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, no, but
That's so funny.
it's a fun space to play in. Like
Yeah.
I'm a very relaxed person when it comes to everything. So seeing my straight friends kind of like tense up and literally freeze, I'm like, dude, it's a human. You
Yeah.
guys have different body parts, but like
That's
she's
it.
you. She has long hair. Anyhow,
So,
such a crazy tangent. I don't even know where I was going
No,
with
that
that.
was
Wait, no,
perfect.
yeah. I was just gonna say, so I know you were in a fraternity. I don't personally know anyone. Not that I know of at Maryland who's openly gay in a fraternity. So I just want to ask,
Yeah.
like, how being in a frat kind of shaped your college years as like a gay man.
When I was rushing, there was, from my knowledge, one gay kid in all of our frats. There was one single gay kid in a different frat. I was the first kid ever to like be openly gay and rush my frat. So like
Yep.
there was effectively no gay.
There's not. Right.
Yeah.
It was genuinely unheard of. It was unheard of. I didn't get a bid my freshman year. I rushed ZB. We had two Jewish frats, 828 we call, which is our off-campus AEPI. So AEPI and ZBT.
Okay.
I was dead set on ZBT. They're like the more tame boys, a little bit nicer. AEPI was like go home with that material. ZBT was like date that material.
Right.
I honestly would have. I think I would have done well in both situations, and I'm friends with a lot of guys in AEPI, and they're great too. But I was dead set on ZBT. Didn't get a bid, and when my friends did, and I was kind of able to find out why, it was like, well, for you was unique because for any regular guy, you get a couple of guys who like you, and
Yeah.
they say we want to give them a bid. You get a bid.
Right.
I had that. I had a fair amount of guys who liked me, but the ones who didn't know me, all they knew is that I was gay. So it was like 6 guys who liked me. We're in a 125 person frat.
Yeah.
80 guys, 100 guys who didn't know me, and they're like, well, we don't know him and he's gay.
Yeah.
So basically, to be a gay guy and to get a bid to a frat, you have to put in so
More
much
effort.
more work than your straight counterparts.
Yeah.
And that, so we rush in the spring. So spring,
Yep.
I don't get the bid. Fall of my sophomore year, I'm like, I'm getting a bid to this frat.
See,
And
I give you a ton of credit. You know,
Yeah.
you did.
they,
I'm just giving you a compliment, mom to son right now, that you went through, not finding a roommate right away, not being in the frat right away, but your confidence in who you are was like, I'm going to do this. This
Yeah,
is what I
it's
want.
amazing.
So good for you.
it's honestly been the story of my whole life. I was in the weird bunk at camp, and one of my last years at camp, there were so few kids left. They said, you have to go to different bunks. And I said, put me in the coolest bunk. That's where I want to go. Walked in. Those kids said, who is this F slur? And by the end of the summer, they were crying to say goodbye to me because they love me so much. All my best friends to this day. Same with my high school friends that we touched on.
But
it almost feels second.
you're having an impact on other people
Yeah.
because you're showing them who you are and what they can do too.
Yeah. It's almost second nature to me, but the frat thing was way the hardest because everybody I made it to voting. I wasn't just like under the rug. So I know for a fact the whole frat put my slide up, voted on me, said I was gay, so they were into it, and I still voluntarily put myself back in that same running,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out great. It was my sophomore year. I had a little bit more confidence. I knew so many of the guys because the new sophomores were my age.
Yeah.
And we rushed in the spring. They gave me a bid September.
Yep. In the
Right.
fall.
So we were a 36 kid pledge class, and I was the third bid of the 36 kids
Right.
because like they were like,
Amazing.
we fucked up. Like, look at this kid. He didn't get a bid, and I still was going to their parties when I could, when it was feasible.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew every girl at the school
course.
for,
Yep.
for one reason or another. And I went on. So my sophomore year I was a pledge. My junior year I was the apparel chair, and my senior year I was the vice president.
Look at that.
So-
There you go. So
Ugh.
did you feel completely accepted in college?
I think for me, part of my acceptance was riding on being in a frat, which that shouldn't have been the case. I really didn't, I should have been able to come to peace with it, but it was important to me. Once I was in ZBT, they could not have been a more accepting group of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, you don't run for vice president and win without a lot of
Of
people
course.
really liking you.
100%.
So, but I really flourished in that setting because I was like, I can just be myself. Like the
Mhm.
hard work's done and just kind of let my guard down.
Yeah.
And, I'm gay, but I'm a guy's guy. Like
Yeah.
I had guy friends in high school, I had guy friends in camp, so I was never that gay guy who was in the all girl friend group. So it always kind of made sense to me that I would like. Why wouldn't I be in a frat because I'm gay? Again, if I had all girl, if I never had a guy friend in my whole life,
100%.
why? But I always did, so I always knew that would be an environment I would do well. Loved it. Loved getting to be a role model for the kids who were younger. Loved the whole. I loved Tulane.
That's
Period. Hands
awesome.
down. Super accepting, amazing place.
That's
Like, end of
awesome.
the day, wouldn't change a thing about it.
That's
So
awesome.
I was just gonna ask because you kind of mentioned it really quick, like your social circle. Were you like you were like a stereotypical frat guy, or did you like you didn't necessarily lean towards having more girlfriends,
So I mean, I've always had
or it was
friends
like
who are
both?
right. I've always had friends who are girls. I've never like been in like a girl group chat. Like my
Got
main
it.
group chat is
Is guys?
guys.
Okay.
Okay,
Like my pre-games is a guy friend group with like their girlfriends coming. Like
got
I've
it.
never really done the whole like me and
You're
12
like
girls,
the
which a
one
lot,
guy with all the
which like
girls. Yeah.
right, which like most gay guys do. And I think I honestly, even now on social media, like I definitely have some resentment from within the gay community at times, just because it's like, is he really for us or is he like a pick me for the streets? Like, is he the one gay guy who is straight acting enough where now he's almost not even gay? And, you know, all people are so much more complex than that.
Yeah.
So much more
But,
complex. And guess what? You're just being real and you're just being you. And that's all that
Yeah.
matters.
right. And if, I don't know why I'm holding a lighter. I'm like fidgeting. And, and if being me was being somebody with girlfriends, I would confidently do that
Right.
too.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
I'm just doing
There's
me.
a
Take it
lot
or
of
leave it.
judgment on anything all
Oh
of
yeah.
us do, you know?
Anything, any move you make, I swear.
But you've been
Yeah.
so open about your life experiences, including the harder, more vulnerable things. So, one story that really stuck with me that you shared on TikTok was about being sexually assaulted at 17. When you mentioned that your mom had to cover the marks on your neck, my heart broke as a mom. So, first, I just want to say I'm really sorry that you went through that and that you're incredibly brave for sharing your story. But I also, for our listeners, want you, if possible, to say how that experience shaped you into the man that you are today.
Yeah, I mean, I really try to be an open book with this because I'm not special, I'm not unique. And if it's happening to me as a very well-to-do 17-year-old, it's certainly happening to many, many other young gay men out there. Quick aside on the covering the bruises, I did everything I could to convince my mom that they were hickeys.
Yeah.
So, you know, it, an emotional moment for me and my mom too,
Of
Yeah.
but
course.
she didn't really come to terms with that until that video. But you know, just I don't want people thinking that my mom knew that was happening. I was like, oh, put
No,
makeup on and go. Yeah,
No, of
no.
course
no,
not. Yeah,
I
yeah,
could,
yeah.
we
So,
could tell from the
so
video
okay.
that was not the case.
Um, when you come out of the closet at a young age, it can be very alienating and very isolating because you don't know anyone else who's gay, whether that's in your immediate life or even on TV screens. So I just felt like I was alone. And as I mentioned, I was dating the one other kid in my grade. When we broke up, I felt like I was
Had no one.
so lost. Like I was like, I have no one. So through geography, I ended up meeting a gay kid from another school. And like we were hooking up for a little bit, and he was like, are you on Grindr? And I'm like, no, what's that? He's like, it's the only gay dating app that exists. What's unique about Grindr is people call it a dating app. It's a hookup app. Like
Yeah.
some people don't show their face on it. Some like
Oh,
it's the only gay app. Granted, now we use Hinge too, but like at the time, it was the only gay app,
Yep.
and I'm joining it, and I'm like, what is this place? Instead of a name, you have like what sex position you are. So it is a very sex-oriented app, which I was
Okay.
not really aware of till I was using it.
Yeah.
So I'm 17. I don't know anything about anything. So I am talking to a guy, and he seems normal enough. He was like 32, which at the time I thought was this. I thought made. First of all, I think I said I was 17. Like I'm pretty sure that was like clearly communicated. And when you're 17, you think you're such an adult. You don't know what being an adult actually
Right.
is.
Yeah.
So I'm like 17, 32, one and the same. Looking back, I'm like he was
adult.
at worst a pedophile,
Right.
at best a creep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, but at that time,
You
somehow
weren't
it just
thinking of it
felt
like
normal to me. I'm also this is now the only experience to a gay community I've had is this horrible, horrible
Of
app, which
course.
it is horrible, and a lot of gay guys have issues with it. So
I never
mean,
heard of it before, so.
yeah, no, as a straight person, why would you? So I ended up agreeing to meet with him because I was just desperate for a physically intimate gay situation. I just felt like, I'm a teenager. I'm a man. Take the normal horniness of a teenage boy and now
100%.
give him no one and nothing. It's like I was like scratching at the walls. I was like an insane
Yeah.
asylum patient. So, I was kind of, thinking with my lower half of my body, not my top half. And that led me to agreeing to meet up with him. As soon as you open up the door, his face pictures didn't match. I wasn't being catfished. It was him, but it was him when he was younger.
Got it.
What his real age is, I'll likely never know. Um, and, I'm 17, and this is the first guy I've been
Right.
with outside of these two other guys who are also kids. First guy I've been with on this app. I don't know how it's supposed to go. And unfortunately, very quickly, one thing led to another, and I was in a really, really vulnerable position.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the education I needed to, and I was scared. You also keep in mind, I'm out of the closet, yes, but I had snuck out of my house in the middle of the night, out my back
You're
door,
a kid.
taking my parents' car. So my goal was just like, don't get in trouble by my parents. Now, I wasn't expecting it to like have these other issues so I was just so caught off guard. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I did not even realize at the time what had happened until like years later, where I was like, oh, I was raped.
Right.
Like what the events that went down, the pain involved, the lack of consent, the physical force, the verbal abuse. I did not even put together that like that string of events constitutes rape. I just thought rape was like something in like a movie.
Right.
I don't know what I thought. I didn't think anything.
But that's very normal. That's very normal of survivors.
Right.
And you being so open is helping other survivors feel less alone.
Yeah.
So I think,
Yes.
I think that was one of the, although I love to laugh, I love all of your humor, I love everything you post. That had such an impact on me as a mom, but I think is having such an impact on others. So I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you. It was awesome. I mean, it wasn't awesome, but it was such a silver lining, maybe, of how many people, girls and boys alike,
Yep.
of all different ages. I'm talking people from like,
It doesn't
for
matter.
people from 14 to 40 who were like, something similar happened to me, or like, hearing your story made me feel so normal. And like that's what I'm here to show who I am. It's not a highlights reel. It's all of me. And again, like take it or leave it. And how it really did, kind of shape who I became.
Yeah.
One, I like trauma blocked it. I mean, it was not until I was on shrooms my senior year of college that I fully had come to terms with that moment, and I broke down crying. And my friend's like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, I can't even right now." But I had blocked out that moment for so long.
Yeah.
But the way it shaped me is it forced me to be vulnerable with myself, forced me to acknowledge all parts of you are still you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and to give myself forgiveness, to give myself grace, to give myself safety. To it really just opened up my eyes to self-respect and what does self-respect look like for me as a young gay man. And at its base, that's safety.
Yes.
And having that groundwork established so young, which was unfortunate, it raised my standards thereafter.
Yes.
Because, I had seen the worst of the worst. I'm not gonna let you ghost me.
Right.
Like I'm so past like something like
I love it.
Like any behavior less than that I still was able to recognize it as bad behavior because I'd already seen the whole scale of where that lies.
The levels.
So that to me, in addition,
well, and I love.
Go ahead, Ella.
Go for it. I was just gonna say I love that you're looking at the silver lining and you're like. I just think it's amazing. So I give you a lot of credit.
I mean, I think it's important to say that sexual violence is often not reported. So, especially by men. And there's a lot of stigma about speaking up. So when I was in college, I interned at the DC Rape Crisis Center. That's my background. I went through training. I worked on hotline calls. And that experience opened my eyes to how common this is and how common it is not to mention anything or even process it for years to come. So I feel like for our listeners, for anyone that needs a resource, RAIN operates a national confidential sexual assault hotline, and we'll include that in the show notes just so people can have that.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you did that. And thank you both. it's not something I talk about often. So just even saying it to living people who have positive responses back,
Yeah.
it's a healing process for everyone involved,
Always.
myself
And it's a
included.
lifelong healing process. So.
And I have to ask, just because I knew what Grindr was, I know, Mom, you didn't, but like, do you think that apps like Grindr and Grindr specifically like play into like experiences and maybe like change the way that people are connecting and like talking about consent?
Yeah. It's a really unique experience to be gay because you have to imagine a world where it's all men. So think
Yeah.
about what dating life would look like for straight men if it was all men. I think so much of the rules and regulations in place in the straight dating world are imposed by women.
Yeah.
I think if it was up to men, it would be a lot more sex
Very
oriented
different.
than what we see now. So this
100%.
is a world void of women. It's also a world of men who have really complicated relationships with themselves.
Yeah.
You know, especially surrounding this issue. And on Grindr, because it is so discreet, as it's called, you're getting guys with wives, you're getting guys with girlfriends, you're getting guys with kids, you're getting guys who are 15, you're getting guys in the closet, you're getting guys
Yeah.
who are out in the, you're getting drag queens, you're getting,
Everything.
you're getting really, really such a mixed bag of people who are just colliding nonstop with high sex drives and no societal morals imposed upon them.
Got it.
So it is kind of a recipe for disaster, and it is a really difficult thing to navigate. I don't want to blame gay people for it, though at a certain point we are somewhat to blame for the culture that is created
Yeah.
on that app and apps like it, but it's a scary place. Unfortunately, like I don't use it anymore, but for many, many years after that incident we discussed, I did because
Yeah.
it was the only option. And especially in college, that was like how guys in college, like that's like how you met up.
Right.
It was like,
Yeah.
oh, like
That's
we
what
met
the
on
app you
Grindr.
use.
It's a
Like,
different
you know,
world for me. I didn't even have a cell phone when I
right.
met my
I mean,
husband.
it's
So it's
for the generation above. It's
I
it's like
can't even
leaps
So
and
different.
bounds. It's and even for my straight friends, I mean, some aspects of the app are just simply unfathomable.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, it's a
It's very
it's a scary
different.
place. It's a
Yeah.
scary place. I think now guys use Hinge a little bit more, stuff like that.
right.
But as long as quick sexual interactions are available the way that they are, I fear that we may never stray too far from it just
Yeah.
out of pure convenience
Terrifying as a parent.
and maybe just like biological manly needs. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't use it anymore.
Okay.
It was a difficult thing to wean myself off of. And
Okay.
to say that I'll be off it forever is who's to say. I hope I am, but it's so ingrained in the lives of every gay person. It really is it's troubling.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's transition to after college for a second. You graduated and you started working at a law firm. I think you said that at the beginning. Was becoming a lawyer something that you had always dreamed of, or did you just kind of like find yourself on that path?
Circling back to Judaism and Jewish upbringing,
Yes.
is my parents were like, "You'll be a doctor, a lawyer,
Yep.
a banker, etc." In my fifth grade and in my elementary school yearbook, you had to write what you wanted to be when you were older. Everybody wrote MLB player, ballerina. I
Yep.
wrote lawyer.
Oh my God.
I
that's
literally
so
wrote lawyer.
funny.
I was 11 years. So in college, I was a double major in English and communications. I graduated magna cum laude. I had like a 3.95 GPA. I
Wow,
was
look
the
at that. He's
se-
handsome
I
and
was
smart.
I was the senior editor of our student paper. Like I
Wow.
was, all roads were pointing towards like, let's be a lawyer and let's be a good one.
Right.
So via a connection from my parents, I got a job at Kirkland and Ellis, which is one of the top law firms in the world. I was placed in their investment funds team, which I'm not a numbers kid.
Oh,
I
me
hate
neither. I
math.
hate
I'm
math.
so an English brain.
Yep.
So I was like not a late. We didn't have any say over it, but I was in the investment funds group and I hated it.
Got it.
It was the first time in my life where I was I was giving it all. I was giving it my all and getting nothing back.
Yeah.
And that was such a new experience to me. Like, why am I not loving this? Like, I'm forcing myself to love it. I just don't love it. It was a really intensive job. I mean, I was working overtime every single day in the office 3 days a week. We were working from 9:30 in the morning to like 11:30 at night every
Ugh.
day. Later than that on bad days. And then after that, I was having my LSAT tutor.
Oh
So
my
I was
God.
running like a 14-hour day.
Yeah, that's
and it was a
miserable.
job. It was a job I didn't like.
Yeah.
So
100%.
what I did like about it is it was all young kids. It was all people just graduated college.
Right.
They all wanted to be lawyers. It was very social. It was very fun. So, and it was a beautiful, stunning office with insane benefits and there's free Starbucks in the office. Like it
Free
was
Starbucks,
good for
Ella.
free
Oh my
Starbucks in the
God.
office.
Maybe I
you
should be
go
a
to- you wanna-
lawyer.
it's one of the few benefits of big law.
Yeah,
It's like we'll work
right.
you like a dog, but there'll be enough
Benefits
shiny toys
to
to
keep
keep
you.
you running on the treadmill.
Yep.
That's what they all do, right?
Um, Yeah.
For the
In
record,
big law, yeah.
Ella and
Yeah.
I are both Harvey Specter girls.
Oh,
But we
huge
do
Harvey
like Mike
Specter.
Ross, so I guess I have to ask you, if you had to date one of them, which one would it be?
I don't watch Suits, but but parts of it were.
What?
Stop. I don't. It was too
Come
close. I
on.
never got into it. And
Fair.
it was literal parts of it in the first season were filmed in my office that I
Oh
worked
my
in.
God.
Like you,
It's
like
so, you have to give me 3 episodes. Like,
It's
let's.
so good.
I'll try.
Okay,
I'll
It's
try.
so good.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I'm still like scarred from the legal world
Got it.
with
Fair.
that. But
Well, how did you? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like, how did you get from working in a law firm to creating content full
okay,
time?
so
Yeah.
my managers go to like us 5 young paralegals and like one of you needs to go work for one of our clients.
Okay.
Like that's like a thing. That's like a thing law firms do. It's called
Yep.
secondment. Like you'll go to work for their in-house legal team to assist them, and everyone's like, "Well, I want to be a lawyer and I want to talk to the attorneys here and get a good letter of rec for law school." And I was like, "I fucking hate working here."
Yep.
I was like, "I'll go work for one of our clients."
Please.
So hated that too. It was Neuberger Berman. They're a financial institution, and I was in their in-house legal team. But what was nice is when you're in-house legal and not an actual law firm, you work 9 to 5, and that's it.
Okay.
So I feel like I had
You're
a
not going
day
to
back.
11:30.
Right. It's so like my now from 5 p.m. onward, my day was free, and I was
Okay.
like, whoa, I have like half my life back. So a couple months into that, I was like, I had enough friends who were egging me on to start posting videos, and I was like, I have the time now. I don't like what I'm doing. I need something new to do. My friends are telling me I should do it. I'm kind of funny. So January, I just posted a couple silly videos and was just
And
throwing
it
stuff
just
at the
got
wall.
into it.
My second video ever got 370,000 views
Oh
on
my God.
TikTok. My 7th video got 1.1 million,
That's crazy.
and I was like, let's do this.
Yeah.
And people were like, wait, this kid just got 10,000 followers in like 3 months.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And I was like,
obviously.
and I was like, I'm good at this, and
Yeah.
I'm not good at law.
Right.
So like, I
Yep.
was so excited to be good at something again.
100%.
So how did your parents react to the shift from just from a mom's perspective, from a traditional career path, which is what I like to call it, to content creation?
Yeah. So the first red flag was when I canceled my LSAT without telling them. The day before I was supposed to
Oh
the day before I was supposed to take my LSAT, I can't. Like, I went on the website, paid $500 to cancel
Oh,
it,
wow.
never took it. They were like, "How'd the LSAT go?" I was like, "Didn't take it." They were like, "Why would you do that?" I was like, "I'm not being a lawyer." I was still working at Kirkland Analysis. Like, I'm not being a lawyer, so I don't know what's coming next. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
So
Good for you.
but
Again, it goes back to confidence. You knew what you wanted for yourself. And, we shouldn't, as parents, be putting it on our kids what we want you to do. I say that to
100%.
Ella all the time. I want you to be what brings you joy and happiness every day.
you literally have to be delusional, because if you're not delusional enough, people are going to talk you out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was so steadfast on like, fuck this, and I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
And without that, and I almost did get talked out of that by friends, by family, by whatever it was. So that was like, they're like, okay, we'll figure out what we're going to do next. I was like, I'm going to work in finance. I'm going to go work for our client. I'm going to be a big investment banker, bro. And hated that too. And they were very hesitant at first. In July, I was consistently making more money from content than I was from my job.
Wow.
And I said, if I don't like being a lawyer and you want me to be one, surely it's because you want me to make a lot of money and to be able to provide a good life for myself. So if I can provide a better life doing content, then there's really no reason to not make the switch. For a series of social stigmas, they're like, no, like you still just can't. It's a generational thing as well. Like they just don't, they
Yes.
didn't understand the monetization of content.
Absolutely.
100%.
But I was making a good amount as a paralegal. I'm now making 5 times per month what I was making there, and I'm my own boss. And I wake up at 11 a.m. and I go to bed
yeah.
when I want to. It's content has changed my life in so many phenomenal ways, and it's
I
been
love
such
it.
a blessing. But the financial freedom, and I have a job.
That you
I'm at a
love
phase
doing
where everyone's just starting their jobs. They're at the bottom of the totem pole, whatever they're
Yeah.
doing.
And
They're
you're like-
getting shit thrown at the end. I'm like, I literally wake up with no pit in my stomach. I'd wake up every day at my law firm so stressed, checking emails till 4 a.m. I wake up and I'm excited for the day to progress. And I have friends who are waiting for the weekends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, take a step back. The weekend's 2 days. We work 5. You are waiting for the the minority of your life to happen.
I will say, as a mom and a parent, and I know that not everyone feels this way, but I have always been the kind of mom that's been like, I just want you to get up every day and be happy, especially with all the mental health issues that we talk about. My son Ryan, for a really long time, said that he wanted to be a doorman when he grew up because he loved how opening a door for someone else brightened his day. And I was like, then we will find the best college out there that will help you be the best doorman ever. I mean, for years, it just, I feel like happiness and health, is
I mean,
all
what any
combined with
parent
what you
wants.
do. And when you wake up, if you're miserable every day, making $1 zillion, that's not, that's not true
Right.
happiness.
And,
So,
unfortunately, I think for a lot of parents, they just want certainty as well as
yes.
happiness.
Yes.
And a way to have certain happiness
Life
from, at least from, is
certainty
have a
doesn't
job that makes
exist
you money.
anymore.
Right, right. But it's like have a job that makes you money so you could do the things you want. And I was like, have a job that is the things you want. And then you
Yes.
I
won't
love
feel the
that.
need to do more things you want because you're already doing things you want.
Absolutely.
100%.
But you gotta be delusional. You gotta be delusionally confident or you're never gonna get there.
So I
And I
was
have
gonna
so many
ask,
friends who like,
go for it.
no,
What
nothing.
are like
Irrelevant.
advice? Like anybody that's starting in content creation, like what are your
Oh,
pieces of advice?
You get 3 pieces
oh
of
God.
advice. Let's go. You got this.
I know that's probably so hard because there's so many different things. I mean, you said confidence. I feel like that is like a start.
Number one, stop caring. You
Yeah.
cannot care what people think about you. You can't even care what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started doing videos, I was doing like day in my life videos, like vlog influencer. Like I was just making up and seeing what was gonna work.
Yeah.
And if I had ever cringed at myself or ever doubted myself, I would have never gotten to this point. And listen, I'm not even that big, but like even to get to any point, you have to stop caring.
Okay.
And trust me, I would post a video and it would have more sends than likes. So I knew that the people in my life who knew me were making fun of me.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Eh.
I don't care. And it's not enough to, you have to actually not
Yeah.
care. And
Yeah.
that process looks different for everyone, but I somehow I convinced myself to actually just stop caring. Once you do that, I think
Yeah.
it's a great lubricant for the rest to kind of just happen naturally.
Yeah.
Step 2, which we've touched on at this whole podcast, be yourself. So many people think they have to match a pre-existing vibe or plan of the influencer they love. The way to be successful is to be yourself. And look at someone like Alex Earl. When she first went viral, it was for showing off her cystic acne.
Yep.
It wasn't because she had cool outfit. I mean,
That's
granted,
what I always say. Like she started
Yeah.
by showing that, and I think that's so
right.
important.
And that's what got it. Like those were her first videos. It wasn't like her bougie lifestyle. Listen, she was a beautiful girl. She had a lot of money. She was blonde. I mean, she got a boob job.
Right.
But she was real about it.
She is beautiful.
Right. All of that
Yeah.
stuff was always going to help her to break through this super saturated market.
100%.
What sets you apart is you.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
going to become viral by mimicking what someone else is doing. You have to be yourself. And like being your true self, not whatever version of you you want to put on the internet. Like and I find that the influencers I like working with the best, that I like the best, like you can tell there's not that much of a difference between what you're seeing and who they are.
Yep.
And obviously I do sketch comedy. Those are
Well, that's
characters,
different.
but
Yeah.
a lot of times when I'm doing the videos of me, like, that's me.
That's you.
Me is
Right.
so
We say that every
okay.
day. I mean, that's literally our entire business is about being real, being vulnerable, and being who you are. And people will come to you and love you for that version of you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plain and
No,
simple.
exactly. And you guys are now on the head with that.
Love it.
About 3. Stop caring. Be yourself. Not like work hard, but like you have to put your all into it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Social media is a funny place. You can go viral without working hard. You can work really hard and not go viral. So I don't want to say that it's like a science, but you have to put your heart into it. You have to like, for some I feel like I was working 2 full jobs because every day I was, and content was different for everybody. But for me, it was script writing,
You worked
ideas,
so hard.
editing, re-editing, green screens, characters, costumes, research. So for everyone,
It's
it's
a
going
lot
to
of
different.
work.
But whatever it is that you want to do, you have to commit to it. So it's just not going to work if you're not giving 120% of yourself. Like I write down notes when I'm sleeping in the shower. Like I take voice work. I'm like, I'm just 24/7. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it. I'm on it.
Right.
So
Those are
Perfect.
great advice.
Good
I love
answers.
That.
cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Dating scene in New York. I have read an article that it's like the worst city for dating in the entire US. Have you found it hard to like date while you're there?
All mental, baby.
Yeah.
It's all mental. New York could be the best city to date. New York could be the worst city to date. Who gives a fuck? There's 300 million people in the world.
Yep.
There's 20 million in New
Good
York. It is up.
mindset.
It is
It's a
up to
mindset.
you. It is
I love
up to
it.
everyone's so big on the labels. It's like your world's what you want it to be.
100%.
So if you want it to be the best place to date, it certainly can be. I'm someone who never went on dates in college at all. I went on my first date ever in March of this year.
Wow.
So I'm a little bit new to the game.
Okay.
Probably been with on dates like 12 or 15 different guys.
Love.
None went too well, or he'd be sitting behind me like cheering me on. no one's in here with me.
Do you have a vetting process? Like, are you into setups, dating apps? Or are you just letting all the Jewish moms?
Most of my dates have been through guys DMing me on Instagram saying I love your videos and I think you're cute.
Yep.
Okay.
So that was another
I
blessing of
love that.
content.
I can't imagine that you don't have 10,000 Jewish moms trying to set you up.
Oh yeah.
I have 10,000 Jewish moms trying to set me up with their daughters. I have a lot. I have I definitely get Jewish moms with their sons as well.
Don't think I didn't say that to Ella at one point.
That's so funny.
I have a lot of moms like my daughter would love you, and I'm like she would.
She would.
Now what?
Unfortunately,
because I want to.
Yeah. Because I've heard you say you are going to marry a man. Yeah.
I've had I've not done any of the dates through moms, but I've made it a little bit further with the moms as sons. I've had a mutual friend here or there, but a lot of it's been through just guys DMing me. I'm more leaning into the mutual friend thing, but I do like when guys DM me because they're already seeing all of me.
Right, they know you.
It's a double-edged sword because on a first date you can be so nervous, and I'm like I'm not nervous at all, but I'm also like they know all about me. I know nothing about them, 100%. So like I kind of have a lot of work to do, and I don't know how much they know about me. I don't know, did they DM me because their friend told them to? Do they watch every video from the start? So. But
I say that about Ella. You're gonna watch her videos, and you're just being like, I know her, but they don't. They don't know that. There's a lot of sides you don't know, but
yeah, of course.
But she's very vulnerable about the shit she's been through.
Mm-hmm.
As you should be, and you'll find a better guy because of it.
I agree.
You'll find someone who's really confident and secure in themselves to be able to handle all of the woman that you are, as opposed to some people who are on their third year of dating someone and they're still not even both being their true selves.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you're about to get engaged and you never even farted in front of each other. Like we need to touch the chase.
We talk about this all the time.
100%.
All the time.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. What about? Do you have any red flags that you specifically are like look out for?
Oh god, yeah. I myself am a red flag at so many times, so I don't want to sound like completely like hypocritical.
Oh no, that's my next question. So first, what do you look out for in someone else, and then also, what are your red flags?
Okay. Money, the date, like it's weird when it's two guys because who's gonna pay?
That's so true. I never thought
about that. That's a whole separate thing. But usually, like I think like someone is still kind of asking the other person out, and that person who's doing that should at least offer to pay. I'll 100%. Always say I'll split it, and we usually do, but like just being courteous and polite with all the usual dating stuff. Like, are you apologizing when you show up late? Are you like texting me like an hour beforehand saying like we're still just that kind of simple stuff. So if they're missing all of those mini social cues, I'm like, okay, you're a little off. And my biggest thing is you have to be funny. I can be funny enough for the two of us. I can talk to a wall, but like that's not why I'm going on dates.
You need
I'm
going back and forth.
So for me, like if you're not funny, get out. And lastly, are they judgmental? Mm-hmm. And that could be small things. Maybe it's the couple next to us. Maybe it's the waiter's tie. But let's be judgmental if we're going to do it in a funny way.
Yeah.
And people who are just I really don't like judgmental people. So that to me is like the biggest red flag.
That's a great
100%.
Because what they don't realize is every time they're judging someone else, I'm getting more insecure.
Yep.
Like, I have that time.
Are they judging me?
I wear those loafers. So.
Right. And what are your biggest red flags?
I have so. I literally have so.
Top 3 red flags Max Cohen has. Go.
I have 3 boyfriends. I've cheated on 2 of them. I break girls' hearts for a living. I literally bring them back to my room, and I'm like, all right, now I'm tired of you. Get out. I have the biggest mouth in the world. You can tell me your deepest, darkest secret. I'm telling my 10 closest friends as soon as you leave the room. I can shit talk anyone, anywhere, anytime. They could be like, yeah, it's horrible. Like, my grandpa just died and my cat's dying. I'm like, yeah, but that sweater's hideous. So again, like, and this is why I said I didn't want to name my red flags.
You're literally a walking red flag.
But I love that you're so open about it.
This is the thing.
At the very least, I'm self-aware.
Yes, but self-aware is everything because to me, it's like that. We talk about it all the time. There should be a dating app where you name your red flags on the top, and then someone will be like, oh, okay, he does this, he does this, swipe, she does this, swipe. Oh, I don't mind those 2. I don't mind those 2 red flags. I think important.
That's a great idea. Unfortunately, my red flag is like burning bright red and like a huge flag, like one of the ones you wave at the Olympics for a country. Like something like a little golf one. No, like I think a huge red flag that follows me around, like the end of Les Mis. But
wait, all that I can think of right now is like, what if girls are falling like madly in love with you? Like,
right.
I could show you some. I can't.
Like, what
I
if
can't.
you
They
have
are.
a night that
They
you
are.
have
They
a
are.
night with a girl and you are planning on marrying a guy
This
and
has
she falls in love
happened.
with you?
This has
So what
happened.
do you
This I
do?
want to. I don't know. I tell them that they're dodging a bullet.
yep.
Like
Okay.
like
Love it.
it's a mess. Listen, they're
Are you always straightforward that you're gay or no?
yeah.
Okay.
I think part of the appeal is like this gay guy's interested in me.
I do
Yep.
But
not get
again, like
that.
I when I'm out and I'm drinking at a club, I'm looking for a good connection, good
100%.
energy,
Right.
sexual heat. Like that could be a girl, that could be a guy, that
Doesn't
could be.
matter.
I mean, that's it. That's all there is. But I just love good energy, good people,
100%.
and that's me in a lot of respects. It's probably most clearly illustrated when it comes to like who I'm choosing to
Right.
interact with sexually. But if you're fun, you're fun. And if that night I have sexual tension with a girl across the bar, then so be it.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night it might be a guy, but
Right.
it probably won't be because I don't go to gay bars.
You heard
But,
it here. Max is breaking hearts left and right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up, we came up with a few totally random quick questions for a rapid fire round. Ready?
We love doing these. Okay. Well, I guess you already answered this one. But do guys slide into your DMs? And like, what's your go-to response, like strategy when they
I'm
say
worse in
something?
person. I'm worse in person.
Okay.
They always slide in saying I love your videos. They always say, I'm worse in person because it gets them like, oh, that's
Oh,
me
I
in
like
I
person.
that
love it.
response.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, do you have an age range? Would you date a younger guy or an older guy?
This is different in gay world. So my
Yeah,
answer's gonna
that's
like
fair.
throw you a loop. I would go younger to an extent. Like again, like I want someone who's like still themselves, still confident, like 2, 3 years younger. Like once you're in college territory,
Okay.
it's like,
Right.
I'll go as old as 40 for the if he's like a movie producer who can make me famous and has a sick mansion in Los Angeles.
Love.
Got it.
Outside of him, I'd try to cap it at like 30, like early 30s.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a good range.
So it's a big range. I need to keep my beggars can't be choosers.
Options
So
open.
Fair. Okay, what are your thoughts on, I hate this, but it's just a college thing, especially like Snapchat as a form of communication.
we're different. We're different. When Snapchat first came out for like me,
Yeah.
it was like for nudes. Then it kind of like
Fair.
came back. Like it was like every boy had the calculator app of like all the girls' nudes in his
Yep.
phone. Like that was like what Snapchat was for, like screenshotting nudes. Then
I
it kind of
will
came back
never
as
ever get past that as a mom.
I
I,
know,
don't
I
get
know.
it. I
Yeah.
just do not do it. Don't send nudes. Okay.
oh, my nudes were leaked in college. That's a whole separate that I can't even.
Don't send nudes.
Snapchat, but Snapchat, yeah, don't send nudes. Literally, don't.
Don't.
Snapchat came back. That was like a regular form of social
Yeah.
media. But it never circled back for my age as
Okay.
like as like a hitting someone up kind of way. We just like text.
Got
I would
So-
rather have somebody's number. I don't like texting on Snapchat.
I don't like Snap. Like, maybe there's a time where it actually was Snapchatting in college, but it's like the selfies with like the no
Oh.
words and it's like the back and forth, the opening, the unopening, the seeing when they sent it. It's
Right.
like it's so stupid. So I'm very anti Snapchat for that reason. But I mean I use my private story every day.
Right. Okay.
That's fair.
Do you put the toilet seat down?
I grew up in a house of all boys. Absolutely not.
Oh, so upsetting as a mom. Can we work on it? Maybe.
No.
No.
Okay. Okay.
At least he's honest.
Okay.
Do you play an instrument?
There's a guitar behind me.
Oh my god, I didn't see it.
You wouldn't have because I've been strategically in front of it. Yeah, I used to be good. I'm okay. I can play the guitar.
Okay.
Wait, you should
So,
do
yes.
content with it. That's really hot. I
When-
love a guitar.
I have I did a room. I did a red flags in my bedroom in the city.
Okay.
And I have a snippet of me playing the guitar, but I'm not like good enough yet to do a full launched guitar.
Ella might need a private,
Video.
like, little guitar showing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Love.
Favorite Broadway show in New York?
I love Broadway,
I
so that's like
love
a
Broadway.
loaded question for me.
I know, that's crazy.
My favorite show of all time, that is the most emotional significance to me, is Falsettos. That show that
Yep.
that kind of pushed me coming out.
Yep.
But I love Legally Blonde. That was one of the first.
So
That was one of the
good.
Yeah, so one of the first shows I remember seeing, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is electric.
Yes.
Like the pink,
So
the dancing,
good.
the high
One
heels,
of
the
Ella's
pantsuits. I was like,
favorites.
oh, it's I have the whole soundtrack memorized start to finish.
Yep.
I've performed Oh My God for my friends more times than they would like to see. Like I do every character. It's phenomenal. I love Legally
I
Blonde.
love
Love
that.
it. We saw Anne Juliet recently, and it was so good too.
I can't do a jukebox musical
That's
like when the
fair.
song that I'm too in love with Broadway to like allow the
That's-
commodification
yeah, it's
of
more,
it.
it's
But
very modern.
people say great things about it. I'm
Well,
sure I'll
and
see
my
it.
It was very
all-time favorite is
entertaining.
I love Wicked. It's so good.
Oh my God! Hello. I love. I don't know. How,
so
it's.
good.
I've been so bashed over the head with it. I probably just didn't think of it, but I love. Who doesn't
Yeah.
love it?
Exactly. Okay, if you weren't doing content creation, what would your dream job be?
Not like trophy husband.
Yeah, fair, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
You're
I don't
doing
want
what you love, so I guess that this is
Right.
your dream job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Favorite comfort food?
Oh, that's turkey Munster roll-ups.
Really?
Love.
Like I can
I
just
love Munster
finish.
cheese. Love.
If you give me like a half pound of like deli sliced turkey, I will just finish the whole thing in one sitting.
That's your
Love.
comfort.
Or veggie tuna, or chicken salad.
Oh, I feel
love
like you and
chicken
Ella
salad.
have the same comfort foods.
Yeah, I love chicken salad.
I'm a healthy eater.
Okay.
I'm big on like high volume, low calorie. So for me, like that is like my gross food is like that kind of food. Like I don't like do like snacks and candy and that kind of shit.
Okay. Tell our listeners where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Instagram and on TikTok on both accounts. Murray Hillboy. That's Murray Hill Boy, MurrayHillboy. And if you want to follow my personal account, I have one on Instagram, and that's Max Cohen.
Love it.
Awesome.
Oh my God, this has actually been the best conversation ever. Thank you so much for coming on.
We
It's been so fun. You've been so vulnerable, and we just appreciate you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having me, and thanks for making a platform to delve into this kind of stuff that no one ever seems to really want to talk about, even though we're all going through it.
You know, I love that you said that, and it's very, very true. It's something that we're going to keep doing, and we call ourselves a disruptive business because it's disrupting what people don't like to talk about.
Yes. And we'll include all of your info in the show notes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, so everyone
You're
can
missing
still
out if
see
you're
that.
not following him.
Yes, 100%.
That's a wrap on today's episode. We hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. Thanks for tuning in. Max was amazing, and we'll be back next time with another episode.
Oh, that was such a good conversation. I loved it. And yes, we'll be back soon. So in the meantime, keep being real, keep being you, and know that we've got your back.
If you have any thoughts, questions, or just want to say hi, we would love to hear from you. Your support means everything to us. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Chasing Red Flags Official and on Facebook and YouTube at Chasing Red Flags. And if you want to share your story, ask a question, or pick up some Chasing Red Flags merch, go to chasingredflags.com. The Chasing Red Flags podcast is produced by Jay Del Turco. We are new in this space, so if you enjoyed what you're hearing, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or add a comment and like on our YouTube channel.